For newer players to Diablo Immortal, things can be quite overwhelming. There are a lot of systems inside of the game that take some time to learn. This is why I put together this series so that we could all understand the game a bit better and have a more enjoyable experience as you play through. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you 20 tips for PvE and for PvP so that you as a new player have a better understanding of the game and have some direction so you know what to do next and where you should be focusing. Let's start today with PvE. First things first, you're going to want to focus on your combat rating. We're looking at my personal attributes right now. Please keep in mind that I've been playing this game now for approximately 3 years. Your numbers, if you're a new player, are going to look quite different than mine. Combat rating is what's going to be the gate for you to unlock new areas, levels, and things to do inside of the game. Everything is blocked by combat rating. Allow me to show you really quickly the different stages. If you were to click on the map yourself, you will notice that there are different difficulty levels. All of these difficulty levels are gated by a combat rating. As you can see, to unlock Hell 1, you need 520 combat rating. For Hell 2, you need 12,620. This goes all the way at this point in time to Inferno 6, which requires 46,190. Please keep in mind, these numbers change over time and typically become easier as higher difficulties become available. So for you, you're going to need to upgrade that combat rating. Now, how do we do it? There are so many ways to do this inside of the game. One of those is to get yourself better equipment. When you see arrows up on a piece of gear, before you dive into the legendary gear portion of the game, just equip the highest level things that you have. That also applies here for green items too. You want to focus on combat rating in the very early game just to get that higher combat rating, and then you could start focusing on the different set properties that you get from your green items. But these pieces of gear, the greens, as well as the legendary or your normal pieces of gear, you're going to want to continuously upgrade. So salvage any gear you're not utilizing at the blacksmith and upgrade the gear that you will be wearing so that you are able to get a higher combat rating. Keep in mind, you're not actually upgrading the piece of gear. You're upgrading the gear slot. So if I upgrade this helmet to a max level of level 30 and I switch in a different helmet, that next helmet is still going to be a level 30 because I actually upgraded the gear slot instead of the piece of gear itself. This is a quite nice mechanic, so you don't have to always worry about every piece of gear. You can also gain combat rating through legendary gems and gems that go inside of your green gear as well. You also can get some power from runes. You got your gems. There's a lot of different ways. We'll talk about more of that as we go on, but it's important that you know that this game is all about combat rating, specifically for PvE, player versus environment. Let's talk about this gear again really quickly and discuss the essences. Each piece of gear that you unlock, it's cool. You're looking for higher combat rating, better attributes, more magic attributes, but you're also looking for combat rating on that gear. So if I get a piece of gear, let's say it's a headpiece that is an essence that I don't want to use. Essences are what essentially change how your skills work inside of the game. What I could do is I can equip that piece of gear and swap out the essence. For example, if I go to the essence transfer right here, I have all of these essences for the barbarian unlocked. I've been barbarian for a while. We got a lot of these unlocked. When we come over here and we get new pieces of gear, have a look, I have all of these pieces of gear. I see no green arrows up. None of these pieces of gear are ones that I'm going to want to wear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to the essence transfer. I'm going to extract all of the essences out of that gear. As you can see, there are no new essences, but I'm getting my loyalty points. We're going to end my flowing shards. We got rid of all of those. We're getting the loyalty points so we can get our loyalty bonuses to eventually unlock ones that we haven't gotten. Okay, I understand that that probably got yourself a little bit confusing. My point here is what you're really looking to do is unlock as many essences as you can so that if I don't want to use the Whirling Howl, I can go to Inherit and I can switch to any of the essences that I want. keeping that strong piece of gear with those great stats, and then just swapping the essence onto it so that I could have my skill act in a certain way and really be creative with my builds. This is a very nice build mechanic inside of the game, so that you're going to be able to not have to throw out great pieces of gear because the essences are not wrong. All right, now regarding upgrades, I want to just touch on it again. Max level for primary pieces of gear is level 30, and max level for secondary pieces of gear is 25. Remember, you upgrade these pieces of gear with these materials right here. You are going to need scrap materials, and you are going to need the legendary essences, the flowing shards right here, as well as some of these pieces of dust. If you are missing any of those, you can always come on over to the vendor and you can swap some things out. Like a lot of times you're going to find that you don't have enough of the dust, so I'll come here. If I want to get some dust, I'll just spend some of my scrap materials and I'll buy whatever dust that I need. Basically a material swap. And you'll see up here are the items you need: flowing shards, dust, and scrap materials. For the secondary pieces of gear, to do those upgrades, we'll come over here and give you a quick example. If I want to upgrade my secondary pieces of gear, you'll notice we need the cryptic crystals, which you get from running challenge rifts, and you need those scrap materials, which you find from salvaging gear that you get from farming inside of the game. Let's talk about legendary gems. Yes, this is where the pay-to-win mechanic comes inside of the game. I also want to note, though, Diablo Immortal offers us a lot for free. You can do everything inside of the game absolutely for free. You don't need to rock the best 5-star gems in the game to have an enjoyable time and to be able to put together really powerful builds. You could focus in on 1 and 2-star gems as a free-to-play player, spend $0 inside of the game, and have a great time. Now, will you be able to compete with some of the whales, the big spenders in PvP? Or in the leaderboards? No, you're not going to be able to. But you could still enjoy all other elements of the game and still even enjoy PvP to a level before you start encountering some of those bigger players. So let's take a look at gems really quickly. And I think the best way to do this is to head on over to our gem dealer right here. This is where we talk to the jeweler. With these gems, let me give you an example. I'm going to go with probably the best gem inside of the game, which is a blood-soaked jade. Mine is a 4 out of 5 star. I have it at a rank 6. And to upgrade, you are basically going to need copies of the gem, and you're going to need other gems to put inside of that gem. It's very difficult, costing you tons of copies of these legendary gems and tons of 4,000 plus additional gems to put into it for the upgrade, which is why a lot of players will focus in on 2-star gems. Pain Clasp, check it out. I got my Pain Clasp. It's a 2-star gem to max level right now, rank 10, unlocking all of its potential. Gems are going to be something that are very valuable to you because they are going to give you different special powers as well. Taking a look at the Blood-Soaked Jade, let's take a look at what it says it does. Increases all damage you deal up to 17% while at full life, with a maximum bonus of 8.5% while at low life. It also increases movement speed by 10% and additionally take 4% decreased damage while below 50% life. Those are a lot of things that happen, and these stats only get better as we further upgrade this gem. Looking at a 2-star gem, we'll see what this one does. Pain Clasp, now this is at max level. Increases damage dealt by 24% to enemies suffering from a continuous damage effect. When enemies suffering from continuous damages within 10 yards, your movement speed is increased by 6%. Nice gem. That is a 2-star. It's one that I actually quite like. But you're probably wondering, what are some good 1 and 2-star gems? Let me quickly take you to the market. Now, I have this remote market because I purchased the Boon of Plenty. It's a $10 service that gives, one of the buffs of it is having remote access to the market. If you don't have that, you just have to run over to the market, which is right over here. And this is actually our market. So if I go to services and we take a look at some legendary gems, let's just take a quick look. This is very class specific, and I don't want to spend a whole time on a gem guide. I do have multiple gem guides on the channel telling you guys which ones I think are the best out of each of these different out of the different 1 stars, 2 stars, and 5 stars. But for a quick summary, Berserker's Eye is one that I like quite a bit as a 1-star gem. Everlasting Torment, also a very solid 1-star gem. Blessed Pebble is one of my favorite. It's gonna decrease the time it takes to utilize your skills. Those are all 1-star gems. A lot of people actually like the Entropic Well right now also. Now taking a look at some of the 2-star gems, some of my favorites, and again, these can be very class specific. I really do like Viper's Bite. It's a poisoning gem. We have Pain Class, of course. You see me, a 3-year player, using this right now. Mother's Lament is a great one also. And Crimson Bellet. This is an event gem that you can attain through events right now, and after a month's time you can only get this one through Telluric Pearls. This is one of the best gems in the game right now. You also notice that I was wearing a gem right here. This one is Fervent Fang. This one you can't get from the shop. You can only get it through different services inside of the game, through the battle pass, even through the free tier of it. So this is one that takes quite a while to get to level if it's something that you're looking to use, and it is actually quite a good gem in my opinion. Now, it's also important that you focus in on your other gems as well. These are also going to Sapphires, Aquamarine, we have the Topaz, Citrine, and then we have our red ones as well, which are going to be Tourmaline. Tourmaline are basically the ones that are going to give you damage. Really what you want to try and get are as many of the blue gems as you can and upgrade them as you go. Whenever you have a choice of gems, go with Sapphires. They're going to give you armor penetration, which is one of the biggest stats that you want. Really, whenever you can upgrade your armor penetration or your crit chance or crit rate percent, you're going to want to go with those. Those are going to be the best to help you push through content inside of the game. All right, I don't want to go too much deeper into legendary gems and regular gems because those are going to just, it's going to take a while. At the end of the day, though, you want to be able to do as much damage as quickly as possible. You do that from building out your builds, from synergizing essences together to have crit rate work together with other items to make your damage more effective, damage over time as well. Those are all builds that we feature here in the channel, but I suggest that you go and test out your own builds. Learn the essences so that you can maybe even create some amazing builds that, who knows, maybe one day we'll feature here on the channel because the build is so solid. All right. So that is something that you want to play around with yourself. So again, armor penetration and crit. And again, when you come on over to this top screen you can take a look at all of your attributes. You can see what everything looks like. Armor penetration, right? Potency, resistance, your armor, accurate, all of these items, crit damage, 32.5%, clearly one that I focus on right here, okay? So you can see all of your stats along with your resonance on the bottom. If you don't know what resonance is, it's basically the amount of power you're getting from your legendary gems. And yeah, you can socket gems inside of gems, which is where it becomes nearly impossible to get these things maxed out. That's gem resonance, that's more end game, and that's for another video. So you want to really focus on running open world. Do your bounties every day. Check it out. We have our bounties right here. This is probably some of the fastest ways to unlock more experience more quickly. You get 8 bounties per day. They can stack for 3 days, up to 24 bounties. These are going to be done. They're all in the same zone. So you complete your 4 bounties. You turn them in. If we look at the map, you turn them in right over here at the bounty board. Super easy. You get some good rewards for doing so. Along the way, you'll probably pick up some monstrous essence, which you also will turn in at the Heraldric Altar. That's going to give you some really good progression as well. If you don't know what I'm talking about, these right here are monstrous essence. When you collect 10 of them, you turn them in and you unlock a new page of the altar, which is basically a new page of the book. Allow me to take you over there and show you what both of these mechanics look like so that you can know what you're doing. But this is all from open world exploring, going through campaign, going through your daily bounties, which are pretty quick to do, to be honest with you. They don't take a very long time, and they offer you actually some of the best experience. So when you come on over here to the altar, if you have 10 of the essences, it's going to then allow you to unlock a new page of this book. And as you can see, the pages show us all of the different monsters that we have found inside of the game. I think I'm missing one right now. And you get rewarded pretty handsomely with a legendary piece of gear and some good experience for doing so. When you turn in your bounty board, you come right over here. As you can see, I'm currently working on 4 bounties. When I turn these in, I'll have another 4 available for me to do. All right? And really, it's all about taking your time and getting yourself as much unlocked in the game as you can. I'm talking about story. I'm talking about gear. I'm talking about power. There is no rush. The catch-up mechanic inside of Diablo Immortal is in your favor. As I mentioned in a previous video, you can get up to 1,600 increased experience rewards for being a new player and starting today. The catch-up mechanic is insane. But let's focus in on a little bit of PvP quickly in case that's something that you want to do. Okay, first of all, we talked about gear already. You want to get your gear to 30 and to 25, or at least as close as you can, because that's where you're going to get a lot of your power. Your stats, you're going to be focusing on armor penetration. You're going to be also be interested in armor resistance. You're going to be looking at potency. These are all things that are going to help you inside of PvP. And we have pets inside of the game. Familiars, they call them. Something we've never spoken of yet. It's very important that with your primary pet, you unlock Savior for PvP. This is a must-have if you're going to be pushing inside of PvP, because essentially it saves you from death. This is difficult to get. It's something you'll be rolling on forever to try and unlock. You may be better off just going to the market and saving up some platinum to purchase one. This would be important. A pet with Savior. This familiar grants a one-time protection from death, including damage immunity for 3.3 seconds, but it will not participate in combat for the next almost 70 seconds. Very important. Now, it's also important that with your pets, you have these other pets that are called your bonded pets. They're 4 familiars that you can add to you just for their additional attributes, right? You can get their additional traits, I should say. We have all these traits unlocked. And there's 3 traits that you're going to want: Pack Mule, Appraiser, and Salvager. Salvager is going to allow you to do remote salvaging, which means you could salvage gear on the go. Appraiser is going to allow you to identify gear on the go. And Pack Mule, that's going to allow you to change your the gear that you're wearing on the go. So if we take a look at that in real time, I have this icon right down here. If I click on this, I could salvage. I don't have any equipment to salvage, but I could salvage on the go. I could identify equipment. These 2 items, I could identify those. My familiar is going to go away, and then when it returns, those pieces of gear will be salvaged. Or will be identified. Oh, there we go. It looks like we have a ring that's an arrow up. We could throw that on. Or you could if you're brand new. And then we could also switch our loadout. Once our familiar comes back, we can come and we can switch our loadout. And it takes me to the armory. I could switch to any of my loadouts that I want to use on the fly. It's nice to have these set with familiars. It's just a really solid way for you to have a lot of convenience inside of the game. Now, also, runes are a great way to upgrade your gear, right? These drop randomly in the game. There's a ton of different places where you can find them. You could find them almost everywhere. And the rarity of them is the more rare they are, the more difficult they are to find. But these are going to give you buffs inside of the game. And runes can be socketed within certain pieces of gear. As you can see, the ATI rune, base attribute of equipment is increased by 6%, stun resistance is increased by 2%, and it does something for my dash skills as well. It can be sold in the market, which they never really sell, and as you can see, it is going to be something that could be slotted in my leg piece. Can't do that inside of any other piece of gear but the legs. Always try to improve the runes that you have and that you have slotted inside of your gear so that you can further progress and get any extra power that they'll offer, because again, it's just about continuously strengthening your build through all of these different elements. Now let's talk about reforging your gear. This is a little bit more complex, but let me show you how it works. You come over to the blacksmith.
Good to see you.
You go to services and you click on reforge. If we take a look at our helm, look at these bonus attributes that we get. As you progress, you're able to As you progress the level of your gear, you're able to get up to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different reforges. When you start, you'll only have one item that could be reforged. Then I don't even recall the levels at this point in time. It's been so long since I've done it. But as you progress and get the gear higher up in level, I want to say 7 is the second reforge. I don't recall, I'm sorry. But as you get your gear higher in level, you're going to want to then get the right bonus attributes. You could click on Reforge, and this allows you to use Reforged stones. There's specific ones as well. And you could change an item. So if I don't want, and notice, by the way, I'm using some that I really like here. Damage to players increased. That's great for PvP. Beneficial effect duration. This allows me to have my skills active more frequently. Crit damage increased. 100%. Skill damage increased. Primary attack damage increased. Now let's say I want to change this. I could click Reforge, and it will change that. Your primary attacks reduce enemy healing by 3.5%. You could either choose the new attribute or keep the original. For me, I'm going to keep the original. You can continuously do this over and over again. These normal Reforged stones are going to give you a random attribute, while these more specific ones, they will give you some of the more specific things that you're looking for. It could tell you what they are and how they could benefit your build. Make sure that you choose attributes that benefit you. I will always recommend duration of beneficial effects, 100% of the time. Crit, 100% of the time. Those two are probably two of my favorites over here for reforging. I think that it's really important. Now, everything that we're looking at here, whether it's gems, reforged stones, how you put your build together with essences, is very specific on your class. A barbarian, which is a tanky damage dealer, is gonna use some very different gems and reforge attributes than a necromancer, which is a glass cannon that stays back and utilizes a bunch of undead to come up and rise and fight for it. There's a lot of gems that will boost your summons, which will really help out a necromancer that's using a summons build. But for a barbarian or for a wizard or for any other class, it's not going to be helpful really at all. So you have to look at the class that you're using and figure out what gems, what reforges, what attributes, what magical attributes are going to be best for your build. Now, with this said, for me, because I do swap classes fairly quite a bit, I don't go with something that's so specific that it's only good on one class. So let me give you an example here with a legendary gem. If we're going to be looking at, let's say, there's one that I have in mind that I just have to find. I think it's this one, Cutthroat. No, it's not Cutthroat. Let's find the one I'm talking about. Bloody Reach, for example. Increases your damage you deal by 2% for every 2 yards between you and an enemy hit. This would be pretty bad for me using a barbarian. Barbarians are up and close fighters. I'm not going to need to have more distance. This is something that's better for a wizard or a demon hunter or something like one of those classes. Follower's Burden. This is the one I was looking for. Increases all damage you deal by 1% for each summons you control, up to a maximum increase of 6%. No classes use summons except for a necromancer. So I try and stay away from gems that are so specific to those builds. Although a little more end game stuff, you can make gems dormant, as you see these right here, and you could pull the power out of them and use the power elsewhere, and then you could always repower them. That's a little bit more complex, but I really do try to keep my builds and the gems and items that I use a little bit more generic, so if I do swap to another class, I'm not then realizing that I need to switch out everything in my build. It's just a little bit more about my ease of play and just how I choose to play, taking a little bit more casually, not trying to make my build so pinpoint perfect with every class, and giving myself a little bit more of a general build that I can use across the board. Man, that's a lot of tips inside of this video. And I think I'm going to stop here so that I don't overwhelm you. If there's something that you have a question about, please leave the question below. I'll try to get to some of those, and I know the community will as well. And in addition to that, I have been going live on Thursdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, which is a great time for you to join the live stream and ask a lot of these questions that you have as well, where again, community can help you as well as me while doing the live stream. Hope that you guys are enjoying your journey inside of Diablo Immortal. I think the game is absolutely incredible, and like any game, it has its faults. But at the end of the day, this is the best action RPG available to play on mobile. Of course, has that PC client as well. And hope you guys had some guidance and learned a little bit today. I have more new player guides coming very soon, so make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.